It's Wednesday night, and as you may know, if you've come here, in fact, you should know, or maybe you're just curious, the National Football League is the focus of what is, my prediction, just the first of what will be a number of lawsuits in, in connection with the relocation of not just the Rams from St. Louis to Los Angeles, but the Chargers from San Diego to Los Angeles, and the Raiders given permission, although they have not yet moved, the silver and black Oakland Raiders from Oakland to Las Vegas. Welcome to what promises to be not exactly the most exciting live stream, unless you like, to talk legal stuff and argue and that sort of thing. And if you do, in that case, it's going to be quite interesting. Now, let me thank you all for those of you who came and watched last night. My interview with Lieutenant Randy Sutton, one of my most personally satisfying and enjoyable and engaging times I've had, not just in doing live streams, but in terms of interviews I've done with anyone. It was just a fantastic place to be. It was really a lot of fun, and I'm glad through the miracle of this modern technology, you can watch it over and over again. It was great to cut through the flotsam and jetsam associated with these racially charged conversations regarding police in the black community, but then also get Randy's perspective as a 24-year Las Vegas police veteran on how Las Vegas will respond to the Raiders, Oakland Raiders in Las Vegas. How you doing, Mr. Bailey? I want to thank everybody. The stream status is good. And so because the stream status is good, that means if I push on watch on the watch page, we are set to go. I'm going to write, and I'm going to basically mute myself right there and make some other adjustments. All right. And we are starting off very well. I'm going to start off by writing right here. Hello, everyone. For those of you who were with us last night, you may remember I said we're going to start later. I just wanted some time to just drink. Hello from Seattle. Hello, Richard. How are you? How are you doing? Don't you wish you had the Supersonics there? Excuse me, the OKC Thunder? Anyway, just saying. Now, folks, this is a watershed moment. Now, why any idiot would want to thumbs down my show, I have no idea. But let me know who you are so I can boot you, okay? Goodbye. Moderators, looking forward to having you guys involved here. And going today and tonight, NFL, Raider Nation. But then for good measure, I'll put Rams. And I'll put Vegas because it impacts Vegas too. And Oakland. And I'll get the, so that's -2. And there we are. Hello, Ray Kuko, how are you? I'm from Stockton, he says, Richard Ray. Go Kings. And let me put this up here. And how are you guys doing? We've got a lawsuit, folks. This is tonight. I'm going to write tonight. Hey, Barry Lee, how are you? Hey, Barry, how did you like Lieutenant Sutton last night? What did you think of the show? Just want to know your humble opinion. What did you think? Joel, you good, Joel? How you doing, man? What's good? St. Louis lawsuit. Faulkner Shat take note. Mourn, regroup. I like that. Crawford 371 says it best. Faulkner, Schaff, take note. Mourn, regroup, organize, and attack. I like that. Took them 2 years. Did St. Louis City and County. But St. Louis City and County filed a lawsuit. Do I think Oakland can join the city of St. Louis? I do, and I do know that there is talk of contacting St. Louis to figure out how Oakland and St. Louis and San Diego can work together. That Now, as to whether or not that conversation has already been held, I don't know, but I know that I can say that one high-placed city official told me today that there's already talk of doing that. Okay, that's now the rub is that there are some people within Oakland City government who don't feel that a lawsuit will be successful, and have pointed out that such lawsuits regarding relocation have not been successful in the past. I, however, hold that this is entirely different because of how the NFL handled the relocation issue, the violation of good faith that was done over and over and over and over again, and in the specific in the instance of the specific St. Louis case, the fact that they took 2 years before they struck. They took 2 years gathering evidence, and then they fired their rocket. They didn't do it just right off the bat. That was smart. And so you say, what is their case? I'm going to read the case right now. John Davis says, I still think the Raiders should pick defense in the first round. In other words, John Davis says, I don't want to talk about the draft. I get you, but this is a special night. We can and we'll talk about both, but in order. Hold on a second. Wait, by the way, I actually think Jonathan Ross would be great for the Raiders. Now, let me read to you the lawsuit. I'm going to pull it up here, and we're going to have a little fun with this thingy here. And it's in the Circuit Court. Hey, Mr. Macy, how are you? It's the St. Louis Convention and Sports Complex Authority and the City of St. Louis and the County of St. Louis, all right, are plaintiffs versus the National Football League, 345 Park Avenue, New York, New York, Arizona Cardinals. Basically, it lists all the NFL teams. I mean, let me show you this, okay, real quick, so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me give you a picture of what this looks like here. See that? This is the lawsuit, all right? That's Arthur Blank, owner of the Falcons. It says, in the Circuit Court of St. Louis City, Missouri, 22nd Judicial Circuit. Now, you can bet the NFL might try to ask for a change of venue. I don't know if it'll be granted, but, stay tuned. Look at all of these are the member clubs of the National Football League. You see that? All of them. And it lists the owners by name. For example, the great Mike Brown. I like Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown's a nice guy. Great guy. Jimmy Haslam of the Browns. D. Haslam. And there's Jerry Jones, of course, who plays a pivotal role in all of this. Pat Bowlen is the late owner of the Broncos. Fascinating. So yeah, Barry Lee says, so finally someone's standing up to the NFL. Exactly. Look at this. And they really are standing up to the NFL. This is the National Football League. This is everybody. My great friend Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans, a great man. Jim Irsay, another great man, right here. All of them listed by name. By name. Clark Hunt, son of a legend. Barry Lee says the NFL had to know that this was coming. Someone in the NFL knew. That's a great point, Barry, and it leads to... Anyway, Miguel says that the Raiders should most definitely pick a good defensive player. Yeah, but let's talk about... Yeah, well, that's fine. Folks, lawsuit time. Hold your draft powder for a bit, all right? Hold your draft powder for a bit. Look at this. This is enormous. This is enormous. Look at this. This is everybody. You see how long this is? Folks, I'm into what? Page 18 or something? This is crazy. All right, now here we go, all right? Now, here we go. I'm going to read. Oakland really needs to join this, says Barry Lee. You're right. Okay, now I'm going to read to you the petition. Starting here. I'm going to put this up there, all right? Golden State Raider, how are you? How are you doing? I'm going to read to you this petition. And, look. Folks, I know it's boring, but it also involves... How come things that involve a lot of money are generally boring? I mean, a lot of money, not a little money. Just saying, okay? Let's see here. Steve Macy, do you think Lobby has washed her hands of the Raiders situation? You mean Libby? Not behind the scenes, no. Miguel Rose, hey, Golden State Raider, how are you? Golden State, how are you? Hey, everybody, how you doing? Folks, I am going to read this petition. I'm going to try to have your questions where I can see them off to the side there. And I'm going to read this petition. So, okay, bear with me. I've got my water. I've got my eyes. I've got my mouth. Here goes. Plaintiffs, St. Louis Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority, the City of St. Louis, and the City of County of St. Louis. Oh, by the way, moderators, you have my permission to fire at will. No mercy tonight. Just saying. Now, at any rate, I'll go back. Just want to get that out of the way. That's okay. The good news, Golden State Raiders, that St. Louis is suing the National Football League, and it has huge implications for Oakland and San Diego. That's the good news. Cool. And, right. So anyway, plaintiffs, St. Louis Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority, the City of St. Louis and the County of St. Louis, by and through the undersigned counsel for their petition against the Rams Football Company, the National Football League, NFL or the league, through its member teams and the member teams' owners, state as follows. How you doing, Tor? Number one. This is number one. The Rams, through the NFL, through its member teams and the owners, have violated the obligations and standards governing team relocations by seeking and approving the relocation of the St. Louis Rams from St. Louis to Los Angeles, California, despite the fact that the Rams failed to satisfy the obligations imposed by the league's relocation rules and the fact that relocation was not supported by the required statement of reasons or the adopted relocation standards. Whoa. And I'll explain why I say whoa in a little bit. Okay, that's whoa. That's whoa. And it continues. In so doing, defendants, the NFL and the owners, have breached their contractual duties owed to plaintiffs. In other words, what they're saying is that, and this is an interesting approach, because they're basically taking the NFL's relocation rules that are publicly presented as a contract between the city and the county of St. Louis and the Sports Authority and the National Football League. And they're saying, hey, look, you violated that contract. That's a novel approach. All right? This is new. I'll explain why this is new in a second. This is all new. All this is new and untested. Now, hold on a second. This is interesting. All right? In so doing, defendants have breached the contractual duties owed to plaintiffs. Defendants have also made intentionally false representations to plaintiffs. In other words, the NFL and the Rams have made intentionally false representations to the city and the county of St. Louis and the Sports Authority. That's what that reads, all right? It goes on. Again, I'll repeat this. Defendants have also made intentionally false representations to plaintiffs, have interfered with the valid business expectancies of plaintiffs, and have unjustly enriched themselves. Defendants are responsible to pay damages to plaintiffs and to make restitution of profits. Wow. You hear that? In other words, what the city and the county of St. Louis are asking for, along with the St. Louis Sports Authority, is for the NFL to pay them damages, and to make restitution of profits. And that's going to end up into the millions. Now, how many millions? Just eyeballing what I saw, I thought maybe 50 million, maybe 100. Hold on a second. If they win the case. Now, parties. 2. Plaintiff, St. Louis Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority, the RSA, is a body politic and corporate and public instrumentally duly organized under the laws of the state of Missouri. This all describes what the RSA is, and then of course the city of St. Louis is described, and then the county of St. Louis, Missouri, and then it describes the defendant NFL as an unincorporated association that consists of NFL teams also named as defendants. And it says that under Missouri Supreme Court Rule 52.10, this is interesting, the defendant teams are representative, the NFL teams are representative parties for all members who ever existed or who might be responsible for the harm set below. set forth below. These representative parties will fairly and adequately protect the interests of the association and its current, future, and former members. This case involves litigation of certain claims of common interest to the members of the NFL. The defendant NFL teams are members of the NFL and thus appropriate parties to this suit under Rule 5210. In addition, by voting and through other conduct described below, the conduct of each NFL team and the defendant owners is independently actionable. The NFL teams are separately owned entities that operate professional football franchises for profit under the team names in the cities and states as follows. And they have this matrix of, for example, the Arizona Cardinals and everything else. Okay, so I'm going to skip through that. Now, let's see here. This goes on and describes the plaintiffs, the NFL defendants, yada, yada, yada. All right. Now, let me get to, they have the jurisdiction and venue. The courts of the state of Missouri have personal jurisdiction over all defendants because all defendants have knowingly caused injury in Missouri to Missouri plaintiffs and have had systematic and continuous contact with Missouri. So if the NFL asks for a change of venue and the judge buys this argument, which is pretty sound, it's going to be difficult for them to get it. Defendant NFL and the defendant teams have engaged in professional football contests in St. Louis City and in Kansas City, Missouri, and promoted and market NFL games and products in Missouri. The home schedule of the Rams and the Chiefs for the regular season and preseasons are matters of public record. But it is sufficient to note that approximately 10 different teams played in St. Louis or Kansas City every year. All right? And so it goes on to discuss that all defendants have shared revenue generated from those teams in Missouri and have promoted the business of the National Football League, including in Missouri. Defendants have collected television revenues from the airing of games in the state of Missouri and generated revenues by the sale of merchandise in the state of Missouri. Wow. Plaintiffs claim, that is, the city and county of St. Louis and the Sports Authority, the RSA, claim arise from and relate to the conduct of NFL business in St. Louis that resulted in injury in Missouri to the Missouri plaintiffs. Venue is proper in St. Louis City, Missouri, pursuant to Missouri Annotated Statute 508.010 because injuries to plaintiffs occurred in St. Louis City and at all relevant times, at least one defendant, the Rams Football Company, LLC, could be found in St. Louis City when the games were played in the Dome. Okay, here are the allegations as all counts. Let me get to see if I miss your questions, all right? And thanks. Libby needs to act fast. Yeah, I agree with you. This is, good evening. Hey, Jack, how are you? Hey, John, how are you? I agree. Oakland needs to join the lawsuit. Tarek Hill. W8. Well, wait. So is there a chance the Raiders can stay in Oakland? There's a chance the injunction could be filed behind this. Miguel Rose. Barry Lee, I agree with you 100%. Yes, the city of Oakland needs to file a lawsuit against the NFL in order to keep the Raiders in Oakland. Yes, absolutely. Who else am I missing here? Hey, Barry, great job with the moderating handle. Thank you. Hey, John, Marks, I told Barry and Golden State Raider that the moderators have no mercy tonight. You may slice and dice and chop at will. I'm serious about that. No mercy tonight. Now, let's see here. Let's see. And all right, so I think I've got, let's see here. The lawsuit should have been carried out before owners vote. Shaking my head. Yeah, Golden State Raider, I agree with you. So let me go on and oh, hey, John, you didn't miss anything. We're just talking about the lawsuit, okay, that St. Louis filed. I'm actually reading the case. So Miguel Rose says the Raiders need to hurry up and join the lawsuit against the NFL because the NFL has been screwing the Raiders for far too long. It's got to stop. Interesting take. Richard Lucerto says, come on now, we need to do this, man. We need somebody to stand up for Oakland and that mayor and doing it. Barry Lee says, yeah, I already had a thread. It might have been fake, but I reported it to YouTube. Thank you, Barry. Okay, so let me Roland 100, hey, how you doing? And Roland says, hello, Zinni, keep the Raiders at home, let's go Oakland. Steve Macy, saw a quote today that John Madden is not happy about the move. No, he's not. He couldn't be. Okay, so let me go back to read this very fascinating document, folks. This is, I mean, look, you have to understand, I was this close away from going to law school at in Berkeley, now called the Berkeley Law School. Even sat in on Stephen Sugarman's torts class. That's how into this stuff I was. I read all the tort chapter, anyway, of the book that he assigned. And anyway, now, here are the allegations as to all counts. In 1984, the NFL adopted the policy and procedure for proposed franchise relocations, hereafter the relocation policy or policy, pursuant to Article 8.5 of the National Football League Constitution and Bylaws, which vests the commissioner with the authority to establish policy and procedure with respect to the provisions of the Constitution and bylaws and any enforcement thereof. The NFL Constitution and bylaws include policies and procedures adopted pursuant to the NFL Constitution and bylaws, define the contract between NFL team members. By joining the NFL Association, team members agree to be bound by the terms of the governing NFL Constitution and bylaws. To members outside and beneficiaries, the NFL Constitution and bylaws bind the NFL Association and its team members. A version of the NFL's relocation policy is attached hereto in Exhibit 1. 12. The relocation policy, the relocation policy, I remember the tuck room again, I'll get to that in a second. Right, the relocation policy was adopted in response to a Ninth Circuit decision that upheld the judgment that an NFL relocation decision violated the antitrust statutes. To avoid future antitrust liability, the court recommended that the NFL set forth objective criteria. Folks, you got to pay attention to this because this gets into the origins of the NFL relocation policy. So it's very important to absorb this. Listen to this, folks. Listen to this, all right? Listen to this. I'm going to repeat this part because this is vitally important. Hey, how you doing? Listen up. This is vitally important. To avoid this gets into the heart of the matter of the creation of the NFL relocation policy. Listen to this. To avoid future antitrust liability, the court recommended that the National Football League set forth objective criteria to be considered in evaluating a relocation request and establish a procedural mechanism to ensure consideration of those factors. Okay? See Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum Commission versus National Football League. The shepherdization is 726 F2D 1381 and then 1396 through 97 and Ninth Circuit 1984. So the relocation policy, for those of you who like to shepherdize cases, like me. So anyway, the relocation policy establishes the procedure and standards to be followed in requesting and evaluating requests for relocation. Among other things, the relocation policy requires any franchise interested in relocating to apply to the league for permission, justify the request based on identified objective factors, and provide notice to designated entities. The relocation must be approved by a 3/4 vote of team owners. The relocation policy is mandatory and imposes an obligation. And I repeat, not an obligation, all right? An obligation. An obligation. And again, I'll repeat, an obligation, all right? And the relocation must be approved by a 3/4 vote of team owners. The relocation policy is mandatory and imposes an obligation, quote unquote, on teams and the NFL. Now, 14. The relocation policy is intended to control the relocation decision process and circumscribe subjective decision making and imposes obligations on the member teams and the NFL and the league. Now, hold on to your butts because it gets really cool from here. Eric Grubman, you know who he is, right? Eric Grubman, Executive Vice President of the National Football League, stated, they're quoting Eric Grubman in the court document. Oh, this is cool. Stated that the relocation policy, and I quote, puts obligations on the club and it puts obligations on the league. Hey, Barry Leon, you guys could you tweet this out, please? Thank you. Or retweet, but anyway, let people know that we're talking about this. This is really cool. Pay attention, folks, all right? It goes on to state this. Grubman further explained, this is in the court document, Grubman further explained that a club has to receive 24 votes in order to relocate, and that to get 24 votes, the owners would have to reach the conclusion that the club met the NFL guidelines, and they emphasize that in black and in bold, black, and they say emphasis added, okay? Well, this gets juicy. The relocation policy specifically provides that prior to any relocation, clubs are obligated to work diligently and in good faith. Know that term, good faith, I've been screaming about? To obtain and maintain suitable stadium facilities in their home territories, and to operate in a manner that maximizes fan support in their current home community. Each club's primary obligation, okay? Each club's primary obligation is to, quote, advance the interests of the league in its home territory. 16. The relocation policy specifically provides that prior to relocation, a club must submit a proposal for such transfer to the NFL that includes a written notice of the proposed transfer and a statement of reasons supporting the transfer. The notice must include a statement of reasons and supplementary material. 17. The statement of reasons must, it says must, address, thank you Golden State Raider, must address each factor outlined in the relocation policy. Many of the relocation factors are intended, you hear this, are intended to protect the interest and investments of the local community and the stadium authority. These include, but are not limited to, the extent to which the club has satisfied its principal obligation of serving the fans in its current community, the extent to which fan loyalty and support for the club have been demonstrated to the community, the willingness of the stadium authority or community to replace a deficient current stadium, the extent the club receive direct or indirect public support for its current facility, the degree to which the club has engaged in good faith negotiations, there's that term again, with the stadium authority and others concerning terms and conditions under which the club will remain in its current home territory, and the extent to which the owners or managers of the club contributed to and circumstances that might demonstrate a need for relocation. Wow. 18. The club is, this goes on, it talks about what the relocation policy requires, and it lays it out in quite detail. But guess what, folks? In 21, on page 27, Eric Grubman is mentioned again. I have visions of Eric Grubman taking the stand in the court session. And this is going to hit, it's already been filed, right? So Eric's, they're probably even prepping him for the stand right now. I'm kidding. Partially. Anyway, this is what 21 reads. The NFL has acknowledged that the relocation policy protects the interests of existing home markets. Eric Grubman, Executive Vice President of Defendant NFL, has stated the NFL has an obligation, which we take very seriously, to do whatever it takes to keep NFL teams strong in their existing markets. And then it goes on to 22 is really quite interesting. Under the relocation policy, teams must work with diligence and in good faith. There's that term again. To remain in their home community and cannot relocate unless the policy is satisfied. With the relocation policy in place, plaintiffs made substantial investments in the dome. Plaintiffs paid expenses and interest on 30-year bonds used to finance the construction. Sounds like Oakland, doesn't it? The city and county both paid 25% of the bond obligations. Sounds like Oakland, doesn't it? Including millions in maintenance expenses. Definitely sounds like Oakland. The city and county each incurred bond cost obligations of $180 million. Sounds like Oakland, but more. The city and county collected hotel taxes to service their obligations and paid these obligations out of general revenue funds. Whew. The plaintiffs also agree. Folks, this has got an Oakland blueprint stamped all over it. And I'm not saying Oakland had anything to do with it. This just basically has paved the way for the city of Oakland and county of Alameda. I mean, just without argument. It is right here in black and white. That is right there in black and white, folks. Woo! Okay, now I'll go on here. The plaintiffs also agreed. Now, for those of you who need reminding what a plaintiff is versus a defendant, and I'm not being facetious, some people don't understand that. The plaintiffs are the ones suing. That's the city of St. Louis, the county of St. Louis, and the regional sports authority against the defendant, the National Football League, and the member clubs. All right, so plaintiffs, St. Louis, defendant, NFL. Got it? Cool. All right. The plaintiffs also agreed and did install a new playing surface and performed $30 million in renovations, which included 2 end-zone video scoreboards. In negotiations with the Rams, plaintiffs agreed to certain team-friendly lease terms. Wow, this has got Oakland really all over it. Especially when you consider the gift of the low rent that the Raiders have enjoyed for so many years until recently. At any rate, these terms included providing the Rams parking, 100% of all concession revenues, 75% of advertising income, and other guarantees. The annual rent was such that the Rams could largely cover the annual cost of the lease with advertising they sold in the dome. In the years leading up to the Rams relocation request, Rams officials decided to move the team and confidentially determined that they would be interested in exploring any opportunity to do so. Notwithstanding this intention, the Rams' ownership and management made contrary public statements with the intention that plaintiffs would rely on those statements. Doesn't that sound like the Raiders? In addition, defendants failed to disclose material facts necessary to correct prior statements and failed to disclose matters that they were under a legal duty to disclose. Wow. Folks, this is heavy, okay? This is like, this is heavy, man. Wow, okay. I mean, they have statements. This is worth reading. This is worth going through and reading. I mean, they've got quotes from that the Rams have made that basically says, for example, Kevin Dimoff, the president of the Rams, said in 2012 after the lease arbitration, I think the one thing that is important for fans to know is that the arbitration does not solve the issue. It's not all gloom and doom from that point. We still have 2 years left on the lease before it goes year to year, and then you'll get to the point where most cities are when lease is expiring. And then we just have to sit down and figure out how to get a new lease. Okay? And, I mean, it goes on and on and on. Now, here are the allegations to all counts, all right? There's the allegations, basically are, let's see here. This is really thorough. This is really quite thorough. And again, as I said it once, I'll say it again. This is worth reading. If you haven't read it, read it. Read it, read it, read it. This is really worth reading. I'm going back to where I was here. Allegations. Mr. Kroenke. There are a ton of quotes that were recorded here. A ton of them. A complete ton of them. And they didn't just do this, folks. They really thought this out. They really did. They basically, well, by the way, here's another example of what they're looking at. This is from December 17, 2015, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, with reference to St. Louis stadium financing, stated that a St. Louis proposal assuming a commitment by the NFL to provide $300 million for funding toward a stadium in St. Louis was fundamentally inconsistent with the NFL's program of stadium financing. This was inconsistent with prior statements by NFL representatives. Indeed, Less than 1 month later, the NFL promised precisely that amount to 2 other franchises to help defray costs of new stadiums in their home markets. That's specifically Oakland and San Diego. Okay? Relatively little progress had been made in those cities to generate a stadium development plan that compared with that of St. Louis, or any development plan at all. They're mad. This has anger just seething from it. This is an angry lawsuit. But it's a smart, angry lawsuit. It wasn't done in haste. They took their time putting this together. Folks. I mean, take this, 41. Similarly, the Rams refused to meet with the public officials responsible for the St. Louis commitment to a new stadium. Mr. Kroenke never met with Mayor Francis Slay. Similarly, Mr. Kroenke refused to meet with the governor of the state of Missouri, even to the extent that the governor had to fly to New York for the purpose of informing the NFL that Mr. Kroenke would not meet with him. Did you hear that? This sucker burns. Woo! This burns. This in and of itself is a massive PR hit right between the eyes of the National Football League. I mean, just alone, in and of itself. That's what this is. This is horrible. This is bad. This goes on. They've got a number of counts, all right? Here are the counts, or as we call it in legal terms, the causes of action, okay? Count 1, breach of contract against all defendants. 46, plaintiffs incorporate by reference to each and every allegation set forth in the preceding paragraphs. The NFL relocation policy promulgated pursuant to the Constitution and bylaws constitute a binding and enforceable contract. The RSA, the city, and the county are third-party beneficiaries to that contract. Talking about the St. Louis. The NFL and the owners and franchises, including the Rams, intend to benefit the RSA, the city, and the county via the Constitution and bylaws and policies promulgated thereto. The intent of the relocation policy was to establish standards and procedures for relocation decisions. The policy limits subjective decision-making, and many of the adopted standards are designed to protect the interests and investments of home communities. The goal of the relocation policy is to limit when a team can relocate, and those limits therefore benefit the home community. Wow. So, hey, ban Jeffrey King. Get him out of here. So anyway, or I'll do it. Never mind. Thank you. Okay. Actually, hey, John, block him. I want the guy out of here. Block him. So anyway, anybody that does that, forget, just taking the message down, block them. Period. All right. And now, back to the matter at hand. All right. And I'm continuing to read. That's the first count. Let me go down to count 2. Count 2. Unjust enrichment. Now, it says, on information and belief, this is 59, defendant Rams is required and has agreed to pay a relocation fee to other team defendants in the amount of $550 million by virtue of the team's relocation. According to the relocation policy, this relocation transfer fee is paid as compensation to the other defendants. The Rams' relocation to Los Angeles increased the value of that franchise considerably, and it did, and also benefited the NFL by relocating an NFL team into the Los Angeles market with no cost to the NFL for a new stadium in Los Angeles. The increase in value of the Rams exceeds $700 million. Now, remember when I said earlier that they would try to collect on profits? And then there you go. So we're looking at something that could go well over $100 million by far. Holy cow. It depends on how the judge reads this. If a jury get a jury trial, the NFL better not hope this goes to a jury trial. Just saying. Wow. This is something else. By virtue of allowing the Rams to relocate, but without enforcing the relocation policy, defendants, that's the NFL, receive the benefit of the relocation transfer fee. The Rams franchise also has received the benefit of an increase in the value of the franchise. In other words, what this lawsuit says from here is that, hey, look, the relocation bylaws were basically ignored just so they can enrich themselves. That was it. All the rest of the stuff they didn't take seriously. But even though the court way back in 1983 said, hey, look, you have to do these bylaws. This is something that the court recommended be done as guidance for future relocation policies, and the NFL had to adhere to them, had to prove that it actually seriously considered them. This lawsuit demonstrates that the NFL didn't do it. It was just a matter of all to collect the fee. That was it. All right? This is heavy. This is heavy. 64. The Rams and the NFL knew that the plaintiffs were spending vast amounts of time and money to develop a new stadium complex financing plan and encourage plaintiffs' commitments through misrepresentations regarding the process and the Rams' intent. That's true, because for some time the NFL had given the picture that St. Louis was in the driver's seat in retaining the Rams, and then all of a sudden they changed on them. Like that. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was bad. By virtue of being located in St. Louis in a publicly funded stadium built for that team, all defendants received the many benefits of having a team within the St. Louis market. The Rams paid a $29 million relocation fee to the remaining defendant member teams in order to move from Anaheim to St. Louis in 1995. That fee was described by the commissioner as reflecting, among other things, the increase in value of the team due to its move to St. Louis and the value of a St. Louis franchise opportunity compared to Anaheim. This goes on. Now let me go to what is the cause of action 3, or count 3. Fraudulent misrepresentations. That's the wording. Against the Rams, and they specifically name E. Stanley Kroenke. Page 41. Page 41. It goes like this. Plaintiffs incorporate by reference each and every allegation set forth in the preceding paragraphs as if fully followed herein. Every count starts like that. As set forth above, the Rams and Mr. Kroenke made repeated statements that were intended to induce the plaintiffs into continuing to support and finance the Dome and to spend money to create a new stadium for the Rams. Hey, Raider Brass, I hope you're watching this. And hey, NFL folks, I hope you're paying attention to this. This is deep stuff. I know who's watching, almost to the name, okay, out there among you. And I warned you guys last year. But hey, no one pays attention to Zenny. And I love the NFL, and I'm part of the NFL family. But this is the kind of thing where you don't treat your family badly. Now, I was about to go off on a tangent regarding 21st century corporate policy and all that, but I'll cut myself off from that and I'll keep reading. Now, it says here, this goes back to Mr. Kroenke, all right? And it states, as set forth above, the Rams and Mr. Kroenke made repeated statements that were intended to induce the plaintiffs into continuing to support and finance the Dome and to spend money to create a new stadium for the Rams. 75. In a December 2016 interview, just last year, former Rams coach Jeff Fisher acknowledged that he was aware during the interview process in January 2012 that the Rams planned to move to Los Angeles after the lease expired in St. Louis. Thus, no later than 2011, the Rams and Mr. Kroenke intended to move the Rams to Los Angeles. Similarly, in a January 16th interview, folks, you've got to read this, but I'm happy to read it for you. Mr. Demoff admitted that Mr. Kroenke, who inspected the California property in the summer of 2013, called him before he bought the site and told him the location was an unbelievable site for a football stadium. Mr. Demoff stated that this call from Mr. Kroenke was one of the moments in your life you never forget. 77. All the following statements by Rams representatives were knowingly false. Okay, listen to this. April 21st, 2010, Rams owner Mr. Kroenke stated, "I'm going to attempt to do everything that I can to keep the Rams in St. Louis." And added that, "I've always stepped up for pro football in St. Louis, and I'm stepping up one more time. I'm born and raised in Missouri." He further stated, "People in our state know me. People know I can be trusted. People know I'm an honorable guy." This is in the lawsuit. 2011, Kevin Dimhoff, Rams Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President of Football Operations, said, "Our entire focus is on building a winner in and for St. Louis. The lease issue isn't what we're focused on. We're proud of our ... commitment to St. Louis and passionate about building a winner right here." And they've got a lot of quotes. They've got as many quotes here as almost as many times as chemical weapons have been used in Syria between 2012 and 2016. 66. Not quite that many, but it's getting close. At any rate. Now, that's deep. That's damning. And here's 85. Listen to this, folks. "The conduct of the Rams and Mr. Kroenke, as described above," and there's stuff I didn't read, "was," and I quote, "outrageous, willful, and wanton, and demonstrated a reckless and wanton disregard of the rights of plaintiffs and others." They use wanton twice in the same sentence. "Wherefore, plaintiffs respectfully request that the court find in their favor and against the defendants, award damages to plaintiff in an amount to be determined at trial, award punitive damages, and grant any other necessary or appropriate relief." That's just count 3. That ain't done, folks. This is count 4 coming up. This shit is deep. Forget Johnny Manziel for a second. Focus on this shit. I know it's not NFL draft and all that, but this is the lifeblood of football. So you focus on this crap right now. Please. All right. 86. This is count 4. Fraudulent misrepresentation against all defendants. See, count 3 was fraudulent misrepresentation against E. Stanley Kroenke. Count 4 is against all the NFL. All defendants. Jeez. 86. It's 87, excuse me. On or about August 13th, 2015. Which is an interesting date. Well, for reasons I'm not going to get into anyway. But get this. I'm going to repeat this. On or about August 13th, 2015, Eric Grubman, Executive Vice President of Defendant NFL, stated that the relocation policy, and I quote, puts obligations on the club and it puts obligations on the league. Explained that a club has to receive 24 votes in order to relocate, and stated that to get 24 votes, the owners would have to reach the conclusion that the club met NFL guidelines. Emphasis added in the court document. All right? Now, on or about, this is 88. On or about January 30th, 2015, prior to the relocation of the Rams, Roger Goodell stated that the NFL wants all of our franchises to stay in their current markets. On or about January 16, 2015, Mr. Grubman stated that the NFL has an obligation, which we take very seriously, to do whatever it takes to keep NFL teams strong in their existing markets. Whew. This is deep. This basically replays everything that I've lived through, and St. Louis too. Here's count 5. Tortious interference with business expectancy. Now, let me explain for you what tortious interference means. All right. Let's say you and I have a business contract. Let's say, hypothetically, yes, we're dealing hypotheticals here for the purpose of example, all right, is I have a contract to deliver, let's say, food service to you for meetings on a monthly basis to your office or, wherever the contract states, right? Now, I come and I do this. Now, there's somebody else that comes along and stops me and tries to rob me, which is a criminal offense. But it's also, and they say they take the food, okay? That's not only criminal, it's also tortious. It's a tort. A tort is a wrongdoing. They have interfered with our contract, okay? Tortious interference with business expectancy. That's the example I laid out to you. Tortious interference, a tort with business expectancy against all defendants except the Rams here. This is count 5. And it says 99 plaintiffs had a valid business expectancy in an ongoing relationship with the Rams based on the existing established relationship with prior experience between the Rams and the plaintiffs, the city and the county of St. Louis and the RSA, and on the fact that the relocation policy imposed on the Rams a duty of diligence and good faith negotiations. There was a probable future business relationship between the Rams and the plaintiffs that created a reasonable expectation of economic benefit to plaintiffs based on the regular course of prior dealings between the parties. In other words, hey, you and I have, I've delivered food to you in the past and at these dates and at these times, and so we not only have a contractual relationship, but you come to expect that now and into the future. No reason not to, right? So, hope you understand that. This is deep, folks. I keep saying this is deep, and I really encourage you, and I'll put this up on Scrib later, to read this in full. It's 51 pages, and it ends with this paragraph. It says, and I've skipped over some other language, but it's worth reading in full. Wherefore, plaintiffs respectfully request that the court find in their favor and against defendants, award disgorgement of all defendants' profits, or the alternative, award damages to plaintiff in an amount to be determined at trial, award punitive damages, and grant any other necessary or appropriate relief. I'm going to say something right here. This is potentially a $1 billion lawsuit. If the Rams enrich themselves to the tune of a $700 million increase in franchise value, and then you consider what the city and the county of St. Louis spent with their $180 million bond issue and add up the other costs and damages, you could see a $1 billion judgment out of this. That is possible. Now, why this will be thrown out of court? Don't know. I can't see why it would be thrown out of court. On the other hand, it's best to get a lawyer on the show and see if they would argue that against that. That'd be a lot of fun, okay? That'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Now, I'm going to go to your comments. Sarah Kim, if you can't figure out what this video is, you know what? You're gone. Sorry, you're blocked. Out. Sorry, I got no time for that. If you're going to screw around on my channel, you get out. 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 Now, let's talk. Henry Flores. Zinni, did you hear John Madden's comments regarding Las Vegas? Can Madden influence Mark Davis to stay in Oakland? I think he can. Because previously, he had made comments favorable to the idea of leaving. I think that's possible. Now, Melvin Lovejoy says, what's Libby's number? Laugh out loud. We need to call her now. The mayor's office main number is 510-238-3141. Now, let's see here. Let me go back to what you may have written that I missed here. Bear with me, please. I'm just going to scroll up, see what I've missed here. Let's see here. Thank you, moderators, for doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Let's see. Paul Dog, how are you? Donis Judo, yes. John Marks, yes. How are you guys? Hey, everybody. How you doing? Yes. So, Matt Morello. Welcome, Mr. Morello. You're new. Matt says, Rams never had sights on staying in Missouri when the city and the state was willing to give mountains of taxpayer money to them for a waterfront stadium, which is horrible. I thought they had a beautiful design and plan. And Ryan Frey says, I don't think any of the relocated teams had their stuff together. Actually, Ryan, I disagree. St. Louis did. And even the NFL acknowledged that for some time, and then they all of a sudden changed the message in a really weird way. Hey, Ellis Conway, how are you? Paul Dogg said, and the Rams had their stuff together to get to L.A. The Raiders are not that professional. Wait until the truth comes out with the Raiders and their management. Wow. It's something you mentioned, because I have to say, and I promised Chris Jackson I would read his letter, and I got to read this to you while I do. I'm going to scroll down before I read this letter that I got from Chris Jackson. And one moment, please. I'm going to go to my email. Chris Jackson is a Raiders season ticket holder who requested cancellation. And I want to read this to you because he is reportedly not the only person to go through this. And so, at any rate, it starts off like this. He goes, "Hi, Zinni. My name is Chris. I am a subscriber to your YouTube channel, and you responded to a few of my comments in your live streams, and I've been a Zinster for a while now." Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. I'm writing this email for two purposes. First, I want to thank you for the work you do. I mainly follow your channel for Raider coverage. I do check out some of your vlogs on other topics as well, and I just want to express my appreciation for the support you've unknowingly provided me. The relocation has caused me a lot of stress and negative feelings, like it has for many Oakland Raiders fans. I have found almost no place to go for support, online or otherwise. Your channel is the only place I have found where I can interact with people who feel like doing so. Your vlogs, guests, and Zinsters have been a tremendous help for me during these troubling times. Second, I have a personal request. I called in my Raiders season ticket representative to inquire about a refund. My representative informed me that in order for a season ticket holder to get their money back, they must email their representative and state in writing that they would like a refund for reasons associated with the relocation. He also informed me that the deadline to do this is April 17th by 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have done my best to share this information on social media, and I would like to ask you if you could share this information on your channel with a short vlog. Well, actually, this is a long vlog, but there you go. It would be highly appreciative if you could spread the word. Thank you, Zinni. And then he writes back again, because I asked him some questions as a follow-up. He says, when you purchase season tickets, you are given a representative to handle the transaction, answer your questions, call you when it's time to renew, and to address any requests or complaints you might have. I hope any Raider representatives are listening tonight. Representatives are responsible for sections of the Coliseum. I sat in section 303 for the past 3 years. The representative from my section and other nearby sections is Ryan Kelly. I'm sure most season ticket holders are familiar with who the representative is. I did not ask why there is a deadline for refunds, so I can only speculate as to why. His tone of voice was much more solemn than usual, and he questioned why I wanted a refund. He seemed to understand and did not question my reasons, nor did he try to convince me to keep my tickets. The other thing that he told me was that only a small percentage of season ticket holders have requested refunds. You can definitely mention this conversation on your vlogs. It would be an honor to be a part of that. Thank you once again for what you do, for hearing my request, and for your timely response. So folks, I ask you, have you, as season ticket holders, tried to cancel? Have you experienced this? I say because I got, Epilacia's mine was Hannah, or I guess, I don't know. Yeah, and Keith Bailey says he's in 29. And hey, here's the thing. I don't mind a pro-Vegas person, but not a troll. You can be pro-Vegas. I understand that. I mean, I think it's very important to realize the difference between a Vegas supporter and a nasty person. Somebody who supports the Raiders in Las Vegas isn't necessarily nasty and doesn't necessarily have to come across as nasty. Okay, there are right now 107 viewers. Some of them are from Vegas, and you know, you know what? They have just as much right to be concerned as we do, as Oaklanders, or anybody else around the country, or St. Louis people who've watched their beloved Rams go through this, take them through this, excuse me, or Chargers fans. All right, now, so anyway, so I just want to say, you know, to those watching who are from Vegas, you are definitely welcome. I mean, we can all have different ideas, but we can also disagree agreeably. But I think anybody in Vegas would be more interested in how the Raiders operate and what they're getting. And in this situation with the NFL, I can say, as a person who's been part of the NFL family since, unofficially since 1993, and officially since 1999 when I pitched the Super Bowl, I have never seen the NFL act like this before. It's reflective of a time in our society where it seems like corporations are more interested in the bottom line than they are the people that support them. The customers, the fans in this case. It's really a heartbreaking turn of events in total. In total. It really is. So, at any rate, so anyway, as I just said, Matt Morrell, does Dean Spanos look horrible for spending more money to move to LA than build a stadium in a market where his fan base is currently all over a few million? You know, he does. And not only that, I'm going to play for you, because I'm at the center of this and I think it'd be beneficial to this conversation. I'm going to dig up some of the videos of interviews I've had, particularly with San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer. So hold on a second. Let me get that right now. Go to my, open up a new page here. Go to YouTube, okay? And get for you my interview with Kevin Faulconer. This was in New York in 2015, okay? And so, by the way, if anybody's out there, could you like retweet this under the hashtag San Diego? Thank you. Now, let me go back to the video manager and dig this up. See, Kevin. Do a search there. And let's see here. Scroll down. Trying to get the quick way to the good mayor of San Diego. Excuse me. And getting warmer. Nope, not quite. And let's see here. Almost there. Here we go. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer talks NFL after presentation. All right. So I'm going to take you over here, right here, to introduce you to San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer. This was about to see is after he gave his New York presentation. This was November 11th of 2015. Okay, and let me turn right around here. Skip the ad, and then hit the non-mute button, and there we go. All right, cool.
First-class facility, just for the Chargers, but for Super Bowls and for decades to come.
Do you sense any sort of shift in San Diego's favor, for overtime?
Okay, but I wouldn't. It's hard to characterize. All I can tell you is the discussion today was very open. There was a lot of good questions on timing. There was I think a receptiveness to hearing directly from us about the steps that we've taken and the steps that we're continuing to take.
Was there any dialogue with Dean? Did he ask any questions?
He did not ask any questions.
Did you learn anything?
No, it was very clear to me. All of the owners in the room today were very engaged in this process, have given it a lot of thought. And so I think today was a very important part of this ongoing decision to hear directly from San Diego.
Can you tell me about the questions you were asked?
Yeah, I mean, they centered around timing. They centered around environmental impact.
What do you mean timing? What was the question?
In terms of our ability, what steps need to be taken, how would a June ballot work? We talked about the work that we've already done. and we spend a fair amount. We spend a time on our financing plan as well, the work that we've been doing with Citibank, and there was some very positive comments about the design of the stadium, which I'm biased, but I think it's a pretty spectacular building that we have the ability to do.
Did you feel that any of those questions were particularly negative or positive?
I think that all of the questions were very open. They were very direct, and I think genuinely trying to get a sense of the steps, as I said, that we've taken, the steps that we are taking, and I appreciated the dialogue. I think it's probably the most important part of the presentation, and any presentation, is when you have a chance to talk back and forth and have them hear from me directly as mayor.
Mr. Mayor, when you say the questions were direct, can you give us an example?
Oh, just in terms of what are the steps that you have to take for a June election? What are the steps that you've taken on the environmental impact report? What does the governor's ruling mean? All very, great questions. A lot of them not surprising, and ones that we were ready for.
Was there concerns regarding the idea that the environmental impact report would be challenged in court? Did anybody bring that up?
No, I talked about the steps that we have taken to minimize risk. While you can never take all risk out of any equation, I said, here's the steps that we've done. Here's the work that we've done on the IR. Here's what the governor's office has done. And so I think it was very important for them to hear that directly from us about, as I said, not only what we've done, but how we see the next weeks and months.
So the project qualifies for Governor Brown's leadership designation?
It allows for AB 900 in terms of expedited environmental review.
That's what I'm referring to.
Do you think
Thank
this
you, guys.
will go to a
Thank you,
vote
Mr. Mayor.
on the
Thank you.
NFL side before it gets to that big vote?
It's the NFL, obviously, they're in charge of their timeline.
Right.
What they heard I think, as I said, today, we've got, there's a good group of us here today, our strong team. Back in San Diego, right now, there's, hundreds of thousands of fans that are committed to keeping the NFL, keeping the Chargers in San Diego right where they belong. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's Faulkner
San Diego Mayor.
after. So this was, hold on a second.
City of Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf met with the media, answered all the questions, and took as much time as he could. Came out the front way, same way as he went, and there he goes.
So that was in New York, 2015. Okay. Now, I also talked with him before he went to the meeting, and I'm going to go back. And I'm going to play that one next because I want you to hear this exchange as well, okay? So hold on a second. Skip ad here. And this is Faulkner going in to this facility. I gotta tell you something. Charger owner Dean Spanos does not like San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner. I'm just letting you know that. Okay.
Where by going down that path, they could end up without a stadium in San Diego and then without a spot in Los
It
Angeles.
takes commitment to work together. Look, I've said many times, and I strongly believe this, when we work together, we can achieve great things. Look at Petco Park. When this city came together, that is a phenomenal ballpark that we did 10 years ago. We have that exact same opportunity to do it again right in Mission Valley.
Well, when people say, look, they're no fault of your own,
Yeah.
because you haven't been in office this long, but it's taken 14 years to get to this point.
There's been a lot of start and stops over the last 10, 13 years. But what I've said is, look, I've been on the job, a little over a year now. Let's get this done. And for the first time, you have a mayor that said unequivocally, we need a new stadium. For the first time, we have a financing package that I believe is fair, that I believe San Diegans will support. We have an expert team of people that have designed stadiums across the league, have financed stadiums across the league. We've put together a remarkable, great team. We're going to go show that directly to the owners today.
You're saying let's get this done, but it's also up to the will of the people to see if they want to do it.
Sure. And that's why it has to be a plan that I believe is fair, that taxpayers will support. And when San Diegans came to the ballot to support Petco Park, that worked for the city. We know we can do the exact same thing for Mission Valley.
You feel like there's an advantage of this, the three committees now? You're talking to owners other than just the LA committee?
Oh, absolutely. I welcome the opportunity to speak to as many owners as we can. As you know, I've had some dialogue one-on-one with 4 out of the 6 members of the LA Relocation Committee. This opportunity today to speak to other owners from other committees, It's very important. We got a great story to tell,
Mr. Mayor?
and I'm enthusiastic to tell it. If you can't tell by now.
Mr. Mayor, what are your thoughts about the overall process, the overall NFL process from the time that Carson deal was announced, February 19th till today?
We've always said for the entire year that we're going to hit every marker. The momentum that we've done, the expedited work that we did on the environmental impact report, the work that we've done with the governors, working with the city and the county, with our state speaker of the assembly, Tony Atkins, the governor's office. Look, we've come together, we've pulled together, and we will continue to do that in the weeks and the months ahead.
Do you feel that other parties have acted in good faith?
You know, all I can tell you is I can talk about our party in terms of what we've done with our local momentum, and the city, the county, the state. We've got people that know we have a real opportunity to get this done. And that's the message that I'm going to deliver today.
Are you absolutely opposed to a downtown version of the stadium? I know that I talked to David Glanzer of Comic-Con because it's kind of intertwined, and the hotel leaders...
We've said all along, you know, Mission Valley is our best spot. We own the property. It's our ability to get it done, you know, the quickest in terms of a timeline that the NFL has laid out. We've always said we would consider downtown. It'll take a lot longer. It'll be a lot more expensive.
Guys, I'll talk to you for you.
I believe in the subject matter. I'll come back and give you all the blow-by-blow after.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Okay, so anyway, there you go. That's was from 2015, and that was Kevin Faulkner's statement after his presentation. At same meeting, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf went out the back the way, and kind of got past everybody except me. We had a little deal, all right? Now, Dorian says Oakland could have worked out something years ago for less than $750 million, but all the previous mayor dragged it out to the point where Mark just had enough. Well, actually, Dorian, that's not true, because Mark Davis actually asked me to produce a stadium plan. And that was 2015. Paul Dog says Mark wanted a free ride. Mark was not being honest about his expectations. He had me out there performing a plan. I got him Piper Jaffray Investment Bankers, who did the Miller deal, privately financed deal in 2002, among the other deals they've done. All right. And yeah, it is, Go Cubs. It is very interesting, isn't it? It really is. Thank you. It is. No, Mark was just not honest, and he wasn't being forthright with us and sticking to it. Okay. I mean, have you all ever seen the video where I challenged Mark about not acting in good faith with respect to Mayor Libby Schaaf? Has anyone seen that video? Just let me know. Just by a show of yes or no. Have you seen that video? Mark Morello says Spanos seems like a penny pincher and wanted the NFL to hand him more cash so he could stay. Right. So Barry hasn't seen the video. No, Ellis, I don't think he's seen it. Bill Waller hasn't. All right. Okay, folks, I'm gonna give you a treat. Here is that video. You're gonna love this, and I'll give you the backstory. Prior to the NFL owners meeting, the spring league meeting of 2015, Libby called me that night. That was Tuesday night, and said that she didn't know who Carmen Policy was. Which is an honest question. And I talked about Carmen, who I've been known as for about 16 years now. And I told her that the NFL was not acting in good faith. All right, and I said that the league, in the face of Mark Bedane, was working behind the back of behind her back and working with Carson, and she didn't believe it. And I kept saying, well, hey, this is a problem that you really need to address. And she just, in that context at that time, could not believe that Bedane was working behind her back. And then I brought to her attention an article from that week proving that Mark Bedane was in San Diego, giving a Raider pin to the mayor, not San Diego, but Carson, giving a pin to the mayor of Carson. And when I brought that to Libby's attention, we hatched a plan of, I guess you could say, good cop, bad cop. And basically, I was bad cop. And the idea is that I was going to ask Mr. Davis why he was working behind the back of the mayor, Mayor Schaff, and that was the plan, and that was what we intended to do. And so I went to the NFL owners meeting. And I've talked about this before. This isn't new. In spring league meeting at the Ritz-Carlton with this plan of asking Mark what he was doing and why he was doing it that way. And so I'm trying to see here, MAYOR. Yeah, there we go. And trying to locate that video here and get it for you, because I have a lot of videos on this. So bear with me, folks, but I'm going to definitely get it for you. And this is coming momentarily. Scrolling down through here. Let me just get the, let's see here. Wow, I made a lot of, I even have Bossman's famous rant here, all right? This is something. Let's see here. Where is this? That's Ronnie Lott. A year ago. This was 2 years ago. So, hold on a second. I'm going to take you down here. Hold on a second. And this way. And take you down a trip through memory lane. And let's see here. And I think somebody just took my video. I have to go back after them. Okay. There. And let's see here. I'm going to do this another way. Like that. There. Mark Davis, M-A-R-K, and Davis, and then M-A, let's just see Mark Davis right there. Okay, there. Mark Davis, and we'll scroll down. This is going to be a bit of a trip. Let's see here. This goes back to 2015. I've got a lot of Mark Davis videos, a ton of them. So let's see here. Let's go here. And there, 2016. Bear with me, bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I've got a lot of material. That's 2016. That is... Let's see here. And we're still going, still going, still going. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me, folks. Almost there. I know it's painstaking. Stick with me. Almost there. But I guarantee you, remember, there's Floyd Gephardt. Remember Floyd? Almost there. Almost there. That's July. Getting warmer. Getting warmer. And... let's see here. Voila. This is it. 10,000 views. And you ready, folks? Hold on to your butts.
Mark Davis with the Oakland Post. A lot of people in Oakland want to know, what do you think about these allegations that, you know, there's a deal with San Diego and the Rams and the Raiders going to Southern California, but they want to be called Oakland. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, or have you heard that?
I don't quite understand the question.
Well, a lot of people saw you at the Clippers game and they associated that with those allegations.
What allegations?
So, I think what he's trying to say is, are you going to move the team to Carson?
I'm trying to keep the team in Oakland.
And Mr. Davis,
Then why did you hire Garment Policy?
Well, I'm working in Oakland right now and trying to get something done in Oakland. See what happens.
and we have a parallel path going on in Los Angeles. In case we can't get something done, we have to have something.
But Mr.
Couldn't
Davis,
you
I have to
hire
ask, the
Mr.
mayor's
Policy
concerned
to
that
work in
basically
Oakland?
you're working
Couldn't you
at
work,
cross
hire
purposes.
Policy to work in Oakland for you?
We're working in Oakland. Why would I need to hire a Carmen Policy?
But the mayor's concerned that you actually paid for a video for San Diego, okay, in part with
Paid for it?
Yeah, it's right
A
there
video?
on the video for the stadium for San Diego says
Yes.
paid for in part by the Oakland Raiders. It says that. And the mayor's concerned that you're working at
What
cross
mayor's
purposes.
concerned?
Libby Schaff,
Is concerned what?
that you're working at cross purposes. That she's concerned.
Okay, I think you're making accusations and things like that that aren't true.
No, it's not an accusation.
Yeah, they are
It's not.
accusations.
No, it's not.
As I've told
Very
you, we're
serious.
working as hard as we can to stay in Oakland. Okay? We're meeting with every one of their.
So you're willing to put money in Coliseum City if it calls for it? If you get a
We're putting
proposal-
$500 million into Coliseum City. So what do you say? Is that something new to you?
But what
No,
about
no,
We've
not
been
the
saying that
500
for
Sir, it's the pre-development expenditures that have been made, that have been publicly announced on the video, on the economic study that the Raiders were
a
commissioned.
video.
Hey, and the economic study, and Carmen Policy. I have a whole list of them. I'm happy to go
Okay,
through it with you.
excuse me. What do you guys want to know?
So are you moving to LA?
on the land deal in
We're trying to get
Boston?
something done in Oakland. Okay? If we can get something done in Oakland, we're staying in Oakland. I've said that continually and consistently for the last 5 years.
But you hired Mr. Policy to work
Yeah,
for
we
you
have to
in LA.
hire. We hire people. Yeah, we do.
Did
in
you
LA,
hire
but
him
in LA.
because he was a Bay Area guy and maybe he might have some strings to pull around here, that maybe he has some rapport with some of the, something
You're not going to
around?
talk about the process and why I'm doing things. He's been hired to work on the Los Angeles project.
What do you say to these guys out here, Mark? They're calling for you to stay in Oakland.
I love the Raider fans.
They want you to do the right
Raiders
thing.
fans and work. Absolutely, I want to do the right thing. So what is the right thing for me to do?
Well, they're worried that you're buying titling land down in San Diego, down in Carson, and they're worried that means you're going to go.
Well, how many times can I tell you that we're trying to stay in Oakland? How many times can I tell you that?
What's the holdup? What's the problem?
The problem?
Yeah.
Well, I really don't want to get into the negotiations and those kind of things, but we're working with the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda trying to come up with a deal to stay in Oakland.
Mr.
That's-
Davis, have
that's-
you closed on a land deal in Carson?
Yes, we did.
When did that happen?
Last night.
And for how much?
What do you mean for how much? How much do you think it was for?
I'm asking. I'm not a real estate.
I'm not so sure that I'm supposed to be talking about those kind of things.
How much time realistically does Oakland have to put a proposal on the table that can keep you?
Yesterday. But I think on June 21st, they have a deliverable date to us to come up with a financing plan to help put the stadium together. As I said, we've got $500 million, including the NFL's.
Has anyone presented you the original Coliseum City deal, which is exactly what you asked for yesterday? In other words,
What's that?
The original Coliseum City deal that was formed in 2006 through 9. Have you ever seen that one? This is actually what you asked for. Has anyone presented that to
We
you?
haven't gotten anything. We haven't gotten anything. All right? Nothing.
Talk about to a
And
Raiders
that's why we have to look for options.
To a
We
Raiders
have gotten nothing in response.
What are the chances you're going to stay in Oakland, or the chances you're going to LA?
I would ask the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda. We want to stay. So if it were up to me, it's 100%.
And what would it take from the city of Oakland, county of Alameda?
Well, we have to come up with the financing gap that we have to build a stadium. We need to, and that's really the
Money,
situation.
just money.
Yeah, and land. And there is a situation in Oakland that's different from anywhere else, and that's we have a baseball team. And as you know, we're the only team playing on a baseball field for the first half of our season. And the Oakland A's have to make a decision on what they want to do as well.
Could there be?
We have made the, I don't know what it would be, but we would like for the A's to stay. Selfishly, we'd like to have that land all to ourselves, but we'd like the A's to stay. We'd like the Raiders to stay. We'd like to build a baseball and a football stadium. Maintain the parking that we have so we have a game day experience with tailgating and everything else. But I don't want to build a football stadium in the corner of a parking lot, leave the current Coliseum standing, build a beautiful new stadium, and then be in a construction zone for the next 3 or 4 years while they tear down the Coliseum where it stands and build a new baseball stadium and inconvenience the fans.
Could there
We're
be a
ready to take off.
consideration about a possible a possibility of maybe Concord or Walnut Creek to where they could still be called the Oakland Raiders, and they could still stay in the Bay Area without moving to Southern California, because
And you know how to fill that funding gap.
well, you're the owner. I mean, we as
So no one talked to you
Mark,
about
is this the 11th hour for the home markets?
I don't want to put a time limit on it, but it's getting close.
So
It's
if I
getting
may,
really
sir,
close.
then
Do you anticipate a vote before the end of the season?
I don't know how that process is going to work.
So if I may, sir, no one's mentioned a lease revenue bond financing structure like it's proposed in Carson.
What's that now?
No one has mentioned in the Oakland case a lease revenue bond structure as was proposed in Carson.
No.
Wow.
What is the funding gap? How much does the city?
Well, we're looking at about a $900 million stadium to build in Oakland, and we've got $500 million. So it's about a $400 million funding gap. And if in fact the land is included in the deal and the infrastructure, which is they've talked about offering, then we've got about a $400 million funding gap.
Is that a hard sell for the taxpayers of Oakland?
I would think so. I would think so. And the problem is we haven't had any commitment that we could have the land and that we do have the infrastructure so that we could find something to help fill that funding gap. And possibly now that the city and the county are working together for the first time, that they may be able to come up with an answer up there.
Mark, what do you think?
What's that?
How does Carmen help in this process?
I think you'd have to ask him and Steve and that.
Were
I'm
you
really
not
not.
behind that hiring?
I'm behind it, but I'm really concentrating on Oakland, and I think.
You got to see this next one. This is the fans outside of the same meeting. Watch this. Watch this one.
We're trying, man. We are trying.
Bring someone to help you here in Oakland, Mark. You brought Carson in Carson. Bring someone here in Oakland. We bought your season ticket.
Sign my coat.
We sold out while you were out with
Hey,
Sign mine, please.
You guys are the best. I'm trying all I can do to keep this team open,
14,000 of
okay?
these were passed out in the rain that day.
I understand.
What can we do to help you?
I'm not sure. I don't know what you can do.
We need to stop the SoCal NorCal beat by the fans. Mark, just know that we support you here.
I know that. Believe me, I know that. We're trying.
Yeah.
What can we do? I mean, you know,
Sign the helmets, Mark. Tri-party agreement.
Right.
Hire someone to help you here in Oakland. Hiring foreign policies, dividing our fan base.
Well, hey, listen, I'm not trying to divide any fan base. Elliot, every time I talk to anybody, I'm trying to stay open. That's my number one.
I got $100 right here.
Appreciate it, Mark.
No quick money.
Mark, sign the helmets.
Thank you, Mark.
Sign the helmets, Mark.
Just know we support you here, and that's why we're here.
I know that.
Thank you.
I know that. You guys are the best. What the heck? I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Start a fund, Mark. Let us know. No. We got to do that.
GoFundMe page or whatever. I don't care.
Let's do it.
Carson is a kind. We don't need nothing out there.
There you go, guys.
Thank you,
Brian.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, thanks, Mark. I really
Mark, you
appreciate
signed the
y'all. I
football?
really do.
Mark,
Right?
thanks for coming out. Mark,
Can you put Raider Nation on there, please?
What's up, man?
You make us take a shower no more, man. I'm still being a little frustrated, Mark. You know what I'm saying?
I don't blame you.
Same thing on this one.
You know, hey, you take yourself to the city.
Can you Raider Nation on that too, please?
Mark doing work. You'll get it done, Mark. We got faith in you, buddy. Thank you, Mark.
Hey, thank you guys, man.
We got faith in you, buddy.
Seriously, I'm trying. That's all I can tell you.
you know, you hire Carmen policy, just hire someone to help us stay here too, Mark.
Yeah.
You buy money for land out there, buy money for land up here.
Raider Nation is yours.
Well, he's flipping up 500 million. So there's something which is not all there.
I think you're
No, that's it.
And it's just what we hear in the media. We understand that. But you
Well,
know,
that's it. That's what
the
you hear
Raider
in the
Nation on
media.
there.
I don't control the media, okay?
but like Mark said, he wants to stay here in Oakland.
We gonna stay in
And
Oakland.
The
Yeah.
Oakland Worldwide Raider Nation supports Mark.
Yeah. That's it, baby.
Rallying supports
Nice, nigga. We gonna support the game.
I appreciate y'all. I really do.
Hey, will you read the Raider Nation on these?
Well, let the people of the city and the county know what you want done.
We already did.
It doesn't have to be vitriolic or anything like that. Just let them know that we want to get it done, that you got a willing partner here. But we got to do it quick, man. That's all I can say.
We already did. We did everything but the suicide bomber thing.
Well, but guys, you haven't called for a task force. We need a task force.
We were there for an EIR meeting until 11:30 at night.
Yeah, exactly. Anything we can do to help Mark, we're here to show support for you. We need to keep these jobs. Raider Nation, we need to keep them where they belong.
Thanks, you guys. I got to get back into work.
So there you go, folks. That's only part of a lot of videos I have with Davis statements and others too. But you get the idea that basically Davis, hey, look, Davis had made promises to us that he was going to keep the team. Matt says, Zinni, would the league be much easier with the Fertel brothers involved with Mark Davis instead of Sheldon after last year's USC sale of $1 billion? I don't think so, and the reason I say that is because according to my conversation with Steve Sisolak, the county commissioner for Clark County, Nevada, Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada, Davis hasn't talked to either Adelson or any of the casino people, including the gentleman you mentioned. That was 2 weeks ago. Maybe things have changed, but I think if there was some murmuring of that possibility, someone would have leaked it by now. So, but we haven't heard anything yet toward that. And from what I'm told, Adelson is kind of once bitten, twice shy. So in other words, Davis has treated him terribly once, actually technically twice. And the twice is, first, Mark Davis went to the NFL Finance Committee presenting the Goldman idea with the idea of pushing Adelson out of the way. That was the once. And the twice was the lease agreement proposal that didn't mention Las Vegas Sands or Mr. Adelson. So that's twice. So technically you would say twice bitten, shy, right? Twice bitten, twice shy. Well, twice bitten, shy, period. That's it. So anyway, until they break ground, though, this is Joshua A. Argy. I'm praying we stay in NorCal where we belong. I agree. John Marks agreed, says as well. Stephen Collins says, Sheldon did all the work for Davis in Vegas. Davis has not done anything for himself. That's why Oakland didn't work out. And then Frosty the Snowman. Hey, Frosty, how are you? Is anyone coming back to the Bay Area? Don't know. Bab Pitt. What's going on, bro? How are you? Dorian says, as a businessman, you have to give yourself potions? What does that mean? I'm kind of lost with that one. And anyway, what else did I miss here? Let's see here. Whoops. What did I miss here? What did I miss? Yeah. So anyway, that's a full exchange right there, folks. That is a full exchange of Mark Davis. I'm trying to think of what else I have. I have Mark Davis' statement after Vegas and the lie. Okay, I have that one. Now, Miguel Rose says, I should be the Raiders' new owner. Mark Davis should just hand over ownership of the Raiders to me. I'll keep the Raiders in Oakland and assemble a new elite superstar coaching staff for the Raiders. And option, says Dorian. Crawford 371. Hey, Crawford, how are you? Crawford 371 says, this here, it could fall apart for Davis in the NFL. It could. John Mark says, sorry, guys, and Zenny, I left when I saw MD. Sorry about... Hey, John, does he make you go apoplectic or something? Is that it? Stephen Collins says, stay positive, people. Let all this play out. We will remain in Oakland. I agree. Dorian Severa. Paul Dog, question. Zinni, what is Libby's current stance on the Raiders? She's being quiet behind the scenes and mad at me for announcing my interest in running for mayor of Oakland, although I haven't filed. So there. I haven't talked with her since, I can tell you, Monday, of the decision. That's the last time we talked. All right. Where's Ronnie Lott? Great choice. John Marks said John Marks, I got really mad when I saw Mark Davis. Sorry about that. Go Cubs. Even though I'm in Denver, because I'm a Raider fan and because I care about Raider Nation, I want different leadership for the Raiders. Go Cubs. It still is baffling to me that you could exist in Denver and be a Raider fan. I'm having a hard time putting that together. That's wild, okay? She knows she's going to lose to me. Hey, she's got to get over it. Yeah, and I have a specific reason for what I'm doing, and it's not about Libby, although her actions definitely were the kind of the last straw. And yeah, she's my god sister. I love her parents, but this goes back to plans and ideas I've had implemented or tried to since 1988 that some higher up in Oakland has put the kibosh on that would have helped the city. I mean, I don't mean ideas like on a napkin. I mean, for example, in '88, I got together 30 seamstresses, real estate broker, developer to build an apparel incubator in West Oakland to essentially give seamstresses there their own kind of corporate structure and communication system and support staff that would actually get work for them and then beam their creations around the world for manufacture and for sale. And they didn't have that. We had all the ready to go. I worked with them to figure out the budgeting, everything, and it got kibosh. We would have saved their jobs. We would have created directly in 200 new jobs, and who knows how big it would have been by now. We've done nothing to save the West Coast apparel industry, the West Oakland apparel industry. That's one example. I can give you litanies of others. I just had it. And I'm going to make a point within the next few days in that regard. So anyway, thank you, John Marks. I appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, Oakland needs to return to getting things done. Building infrastructure, building jobs that provide a better than living wage for those who don't have tech acumen. Not everyone can be a programmer or wants to be, or work in biotech or wants to. See, that's not right. And we've forced that upon people, and it's cost us, and it's pushed people out of their homes in Oakland, caused a lot of unnecessary evictions and racial profiling and everything else, and it's got to stop. Okay, enough of me. Now, let's see here. Am I going to support the Oakland A's? I love the A's. I'm definitely going to support the Oakland A's. Get season tickets and go to games. Yes, when I'm in town. Mark Davis should just hand over. Let's see here. What did I miss here? Octavia Arias, you're still waiting on me? I understand. I'll get you. John Marks says Oakland's a really good city. It is. It is. And let's see here. Black Raider. Is any sing the Oakland song again? I don't want to sing the Oakland song again tonight. I'll sing it another night. Folks, tomorrow night, if all things are going according to Hoyle, I hope they do. I hope they do. I'll have Jim Thompson from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch to talk about the St. Louis lawsuit from his perspective. I reached out to him today. He said possibly tomorrow, work out. I'll try to get him tonight. Didn't happen. So if I get him, we'll start 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, which would be 7 o'clock Pacific, okay? So I'm very excited. I hope that works out. Yeah, the autumn win. Yep. Mayor's office, 510-238-3141. Direct, okay? What are the chances Raiders stay in Oakland? I still say it's 80%. I really do. I really do. The Sharks won? Ding. All right. And the Sharks won. How about that? I'm going to tweet this out one more time. Put this on Livestream so that others can see it. Put this on Reddit so that others can see it. And in the NFL area there. And I'm trying to reach out. Don't worry, we're going to continue our NFL draft talk, folks. Don't you worry about that. Not necessarily tonight. Well, why not tonight? You know, it's just about 1 o'clock. I think I can go until 1:30. Octavio Harris, where was the lawsuit filed? In St. Louis. St. Louis. John Bark says, Oakland Avengers. Jacob P., what is up with the lawsuit? What is going on? And how will the Raiders be forced to stay in Oakland? Would the city let them in? Okay, Jacob P., it's a good question. Let me give you the non-pedantic presentation. I guess you probably missed the full presentation of the lawsuit that I gave earlier, okay? Now, and yeah, I'll get to that in Miguel Rose, but let me say, Jacob P., it's really easy. The city and county of St. Louis and the St. Louis Sports Authority are suing the National Football League, including all the member clubs, and the Rams, including East End and Kroenke, on 5 counts that add up to basically breach of contract and lack of operating in good faith and fraudulent misrepresentation on all statements and actions that led up to the relocation of the Rams from St. Louis to Los Angeles. They've worked on preparing this lawsuit for 2 years. 2 years. Now, Oakland's got one of the best markets. Why are they losing teams? I just can't understand why would a team even think about leaving. Me neither. Unless they're trying to set... Yeah, rest in peace, Charles Murphy. Sad day. 57 years old, died of leukemia. We've got to get a handle on leukemia. I say this to anybody, all right? Make sure, because I'm 54, watch your weight. Not only watch your weight, but make sure that you take water, that you stay away from drugs and copious amounts of alcohol. You get to a point where wear it off. Get as much sleep as you can. That's paramount. Ariana Huffington has it correct. Sleep. Sleep is the best medicine there is. Get a lot of sleep, okay? Now, I love college football. Go Cal Bears. I say it. We have a new coach. I'm excited. I have to be really honest. We've never in our history hired a black coach. Stanford has hired, Dennis Green, Tyrone Willingham, and David Shaw. Combined, they have never lost to Cal in the big game. Think about that. No black coach at Stanford has ever lost to Cal in the big game. That's a heck of a record. Wow. Now, let's see here. Go Bears. Go Bears. Miguel Rose is a fighting Irish guy. Carson Puller says, my friend had that, I guess meaning leukemia, and he is cancer-free now. What is the best way to change diet? Best why? I love salads and chicken. I've been on a long chicken regimen. I row, indoor rowing, and I do stationary bike, but I stand up. And I get a better workout standing up through the full cycle than, sitting down, okay? That just works for me. But, and I insist on, I also drink a shot of Bragg's apple cider vinegar daily. Now, you got to dilute it with water. It's strong. You want to be careful with that stuff. It's acidic, all right? It's acidic. And I try to laugh. I try to laugh. Running your own business is hard. I'm telling you, it is. Golden State Raider, I come at your neck sometimes, but I got mad love for you even when we don't agree. Thank you. On everything, want the same thing. The Raiders in Oakland, stay in Oakland. Yep. Garden State Raider. Thank you, Garden State, not Golden State. Golden State Raider, that was Garden State Raider. Mark Morello. Zinni, what was the lawsuit years ago with the Giants and A's over territory? I don't know, Matt, and I'll dig that up for you, okay? I don't know. I'm sort of in an interaction period right now with the audience. But I don't know. I'll find that one out. I know... Just wait a minute. I do remember something that it had to do with the lawsuit, if memory serves, led to a reconstituted Major League Baseball constitution that outlined what the A's territory was, which is basically Alameda County and Contra Costa County, on the one hand, and the the Giants territory, which is basically Santa Clara County, San Francisco County, San Mateo County, Marin County on the west side. So, okay, what is now the best way to have a channel for YouTube and how do you do it? Carson, that is a different subject for a different day. You know, it'd be cool to get Andy Dolich on. You know, I've got Andy Dolich has this old media bias that sometimes makes it hard for me to pin him down because he thinks he gets more exposure on old media when I can give him as much exposure here. But whatever, I'll get him one day. Let's see here. Any Niners news? Doris, any Niners news? Other than preparing for the draft, no. Hey, is it Doris or how do I pronounce that name? Who do you want to see the Niners take at number 2? Let's say that the Browns take Myles Garrett. I'm sorry, I just had this aversion of taking a defensive end number 1, so okay, sorry. I just had a little water behind that. Jeez. What do you think? Deshaun Watson. If Kyle Shanahan, well, yeah, Deshaun Watson. That would be a cool choice, I think. I don't think Andy hates the Raiders. I think Andy, if anything, let's see here. Any news on Marshawn? Nothing other than that whole Patriots jazz, which I think is jazz. My thoughts on Colin Kaepernick is that I think somewhere along the way, oh, by the way, Golden State Raider, I'm a fan of the Raiders in Oakland. I'm just going to get that out of the way. Okay? I don't believe in this Raider anywhere that they go, Jazz, because the Raiders were created here in Oakland. I'm not here in Oakland, of course, but the Raiders are here in Oakland. They're created in Oakland. Out of the hard scrabble town that Oakland has been, that formed the crucible within which the Raider brand was created. So this idea of, oh, the Raiders can be transported anywhere is garbage. The Raiders are Oakland. Now, I digress. I like Colin Kaepernick as a player. I think that Greg Roman had them in the right offense. The trouble with that being there was that Roman didn't appropriately evolve the offense to meet the defensive adjustments of the day, and it cost both Roman his job and eventually Kaepernick his. So, and you know, I think that's really the problem. The whole off the field stuff and the anthem protest is, I mean, when I say it's meaningless to me, I mean that it doesn't impact how I feel about him as a player at all. I think he had a right to do what he did, and no one should change their view of how he is as a player for that, because what has changed around Colin Kaepernick are two things: scheme and personnel, and his role in the offense because of changes in scheme and personnel around him. So, Miguel Rose says the Raiders need to take a really good defensive player in the first round of this year's NFL draft because the Raiders really need to beef up their defense big time. I want to take the inside linebacker from Alabama because Bucky Brooks on the NFL Network, my friend. I love Bucky Brooks. Bucky has enough cojones to say Myles Garrett is not the best player. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. And look, I like Bucky. I like Charles Davis. Charles Davis is a class act, another friend I've come to know over the years. Mike Mayock has really grown, and from a person who I thought made some personal attacks on players in the past to really a top-flight evaluator of talent without the personal aspect of it. And so Mike Mayock has really grown in my eyes. Now, yeah. Hey, thank you. Jewett says that you appreciate my work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Couple more weeks. That's right. Draft defense for the Raiders. Mark Morello is the worst stadium. Let's see here. What did he ask? Is the worst Buffalo or New Orleans? Was in Super Bowl. Oh, wait. Is the worst stadium in the NFL now Buffalo or New Orleans? Was in Superdome for Sunday Night Football in 2013. It's a dump. No armrests on seats. Scoreboards are the size of a 20-inch TV. It's been renovated, I think, since then, even more. So I can't comment on the Superdome. I have never been to the Superdome. Isn't that a shame? Never been. I think the worst stadium in the NFL. I haven't been to the other two, but you know, our stadium has a problem. The Coliseum on the west side. The east side is cool. The west side has a problem. So we have to straighten that out. We built half a stadium. Let's see here. And do you have any news on the Seattle arena situation? No, I don't. And actually, you gave me an idea about that. John Davis, I think Zinni bases his drafting on Brian Bosworth versus Bo Jackson. I have no idea what you're talking about at all. That's almost, that's almost worth you being gonged out of here. Boom. In fact, you know what? Maybe we ought to do that. Hey, John Davis, you want to... Look, hold on a second. Don't gong him just yet. Don't gong him just yet. Okay? John Davis? Oh, defense versus offense. Okay. I get you. Okay, no gonging. Don't gong him. All right, I get you, John Davis. I think, if you're considering what I said about Myles Garrett with respect to not drafting a defensive end, number one, I'll take that, yeah. Because of the number of time, first of all, the fact that because of where a defensive end is, that person is not in a position unless that person is obviously super in person. Obviously a super player. And that is so unstoppable that, let me put it this way. If Myles Garrett were that good, the Browns would have already signed him. They would have already inked him. It wouldn't be, we're looking at other players, right? Because in the past, when a player was already that person, like Troy Aikman, he was signed early. So he isn't that good, and yet he's defensive end. He's going number one. And see, I have this theory that the league as a whole puts out this communication that a non-skilled player is the best to keep salaries low. Because the way the draft works is the number one player gets the most money, number two, number three, and so on. The slide system, all right? So, if you have the slide system for a quarterback, it's much higher than for a defensive end or an offensive tackle. And note, we've gotten a number of offensive tackles and ends, and they've gone down. Just saying. Paul Dog says 5 years we're all going to be a 30 for 30 documentary. How a city lost a team twice. Yeah, I think less than 5 years, but I'm not willing to give up on this one. And John Davis says they were both top draft picks, and Bo Jackson ran Bosworth over. Yeah. Kanye East, you didn't miss anything. Where's Kanye West? Carson Pulhar. Who do you think is going to win this year's season? I think it's too early to tell. I will say, I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year versus the Falcons. However, the Falcons have added in Dontari Poe a massive weapon. They play in a new stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Dome. That can work both ways. I talked to Dan Quinn about that. In fact, I'm going to break out my interview with Falcons head coach Dan Quinn tomorrow because I have the live stream with him. I've got Del Rio too. I'll break that out. And Donkey Ass says Pete Carroll's in Hawaii now, and I was working on his houses, so I asked about beast mode, and he said it's up in the air, and smiled, so no answer. Yeah, the problem there is, let's see here. Oh, that is blocked. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Now, let's see here. Let's see here. In fact, I might just... I meant to ban that person. Remove. Okay. So that was removed. Now, let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. Brad Pitt. One thing that hit me, Mark Davis has been copywriting the name Las Vegas Raiders years ago. That show where his heart was at for the Raiders. It was like he couldn't wait for his pops to die. Wow, that's that's a hard statement, but that's an evaluation. That's an evaluation. Let's see here. Carson says the Bucks are good. I like your choice. Thanks for answering my question. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Oh, I want to say also that you have to remember that you got Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers in that division as well, and then you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and so you've got not the Jaguars, but who is it? Remember, not the Jaguars. Who am I thinking of? You've got. Who am I thinking about? What is wrong with me today? You have the Saints. I'm gonna be kicked in the ass. Thank you, Octavio. The Saints. We were just talking about the Superdome. So you have the Saints under Sean Payton have an offense that is pretty good. It's their defense that has not been effective as it could be. The Bucks add Deshaun Jackson as a speed threat. So you've got the Bucks have gotten demonstrably better on offense with the addition of Deshaun Jackson. The Falcons have gotten demonstrably better on defense with Dontari Poe. So that's going to be fun to watch, particularly with who they add in the draft. Now I'll tell you this: if the Bucks add either Christian McCaffrey or John Ross, game over. That's too much speed. Think about it: John Ross and Deshaun Jackson on the same team. I mean, I want you to stop and think about a rookie who runs a 4.2 240, and then Deshaun Jackson, both pass catchers. Think about that. You put 3 wide receivers on one side, right? You put Evans on the outside, and then in one formation you put Deshaun Jackson here, and then John Ross, and then over here you've got you've got Jackson. All right, I mean, that's something else. Mike Evans, Jackson, that would be something else. And then you put a wheel route, put Ross in the wheel route, coming off there, and then have Evans run a short post, wheel routes open. As fast as that guy runs, lights out. Touchdown. Sorry. Let's see here. Yeah, Octavio, the track star with the Falcons. He's a development. That's a great question, Octavio, because Garrison is a development. Is it Garrison? What is this gentleman's name? But at any rate, he is just signed with the Falcons. He's a UGA track star who now lives in Jacksonville. Well, he's now back in Flowery Branch now. But he hasn't played football since high school. He had in high school, if memory serves, I think 66 catches, 1,200 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Well, that's the last time he played. So he's very much like a Ronaldo Skeets Nehemiah project, So, yeah. I'm going to stop at 1:30 tonight. It's going on. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go for 2 hours. So it feels like I've gone for 2 hours, doesn't it? Because this is 1:15. That timing is always off on there. It's 1:15 now. I started at 11:10, so this is 2 hours. Let me see what's going on here with this. Let me check the control room and see what gives me this. 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 37 seconds. Yeah, so that's. I'm soon over 2 hours. Soon over 2 hours. And so coming up there. So I'm going to stop at 1:30. Yeah. So I'm going to stop at 10:30 your time, 1:30 my time. It's been over 2 hours, you say? I've got 1 hour and 58 minutes. And cool. Thanks, John. Thank you. It's the time here, Kanye, is 1:16 a.m. 1:16 a.m. Arizona. It's have I watched Sonic's Gate? No, I need to watch Sonic's Gate. Thank you. I need to watch that. Should the Raiders get Peterson if beast mode doesn't work out? No. No. I am not in favor of Raiders getting Peterson. The Raiders can figure out a way to trade up and get Leonard Fournette. They can trade up from 24, put themselves in the middle, and get Christian McCaffrey. I am not in favor of that. They can go after the running back from Florida State. They've got a number of choices in the first round. The Raiders do not need to do that. And Leonard Fournette on the Raiders. Adding Fournette, pairing Leonard Fournette with Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. Wow. That would be exciting. I think that would be more exciting than Adrian Peterson. Because Adrian Peterson, I hate to say it, has become a China doll. And you're kind of wondering, well, how long can he go before his next injury? How many runs, or if you like in baseball parlance, pitches, can he execute before he gets injured again? That's your concern with Adrian Peterson going in. And even then, I'm always waiting for that breakaway moment, and I don't get it with him. I'm more comfortable throwing to Adrian Peterson out of the backfield than giving him the football and expecting him to break away. And I'm not comfortable with him in this line buck situation, up the middle, right? I'm more comfortable with him on a misdirection counterplay, something with misdirection or counter action, where you can get the backside in, basically either trapped, or get the backside in a kind of a pass rush mode, fool him by kind of a draw action with a counter draw, something like that. Let's see here. Good night, Jacob. Thank you. Good night. And like I said, tomorrow night, fingers crossed, Jim Thomas from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and I may try to find somebody else to have on talking about St. Louis and the lawsuit as well. We'll see. I'm trying to. There was one other person I was thinking about, but that group had a tendency to try to pit me in debate or debates with people that were trolling me that I didn't know, and they thought it was funny, and I don't. I don't do that. I think it's immature, and so I basically cut off my relationship with them because of that. There have been people who have pitted me against like Vinny Bonasori. I've got nothing against Vinny, and I've never said he was racist. But someone told Vinny that I said he was racist, and he didn't bother to look at the video to find out that I didn't say that. I had accused Vinny of not respecting my position as a former employee of 2 mayors of Oakland, as Super Bowl bidder, as knowing techniques, knowing Oakland, and asking me questions. Okay? And having said that, I have defended Vinny, and I've told other people to not pick on him on social media, and I've tried to keep a distance. But when he criticizes me, I criticize back, okay? So he comes up to me at the NFL annual meeting, "Oh, you said I was racist." And I looked at him, I said, "Vinny, I didn't say you're racist." And I just kept going, you know? And then some guy who was watching this claims that he found a video and then sent it to Vinny, and that guy is the stupidest, most idiotic person in the world, because that video didn't say it. It did mention racism and how I was treated, but I didn't attach that to Vinny. I was very specific and have been very specific on how Mr. Bonasori has treated me. And in spite of that, I've interviewed him. I even called him recently to be on my live stream and talk. So I have nothing against him. There are some people who know how to play the social media game where they have these fake arguments, and he doesn't know how to do that, okay? And he has to remember, he is not the arbiter of journalism. I don't claim to be a journalist. I'm a blogger. But if you look in some of the past videos where Vinny, like the ones I showed you in the background, if I said something, Vinny would do this, like, oh, like he's talking, right? Like he's actually annoyed that I'm there. That was 2015. That same place we were at, I had information from the mayor that I was willing to share with press people. I gave him my cell number, exchanged it. He was surprised And I kept thinking to myself, why? Why does he have to have this adversarial relationship with me? Okay? I thought it was just, I still think it's mind-boggling that there's some people in traditional media who have these, at times, issues that are far field from the truth. I really enjoy working with them and love to help. But if someone doesn't like that I make an April Fool or whatever, that's fine. They don't have to. But I am going to say, hey, look, this is why I did it. And there, and in that case, with Vinny, he was only giving one side of the view, and yet saying he's objective. And you can't say you're objective and give one side of that. That is a common, critical problem in journalism. There are people who say that I'm objective because I'm a journalist. Well, you can't be objective as a journalist and give one perspective. I am clear with my bias. Everyone knows where I'm coming from. I've always stated it. To me, the job of a person in the business of being a pundit, okay, is to explain their bias. That's your job. If you don't explain your bias, you've done a disservice to your audience. Everybody knows where I'm coming from. And if I'm wrong about something, I'll say I'm wrong. I don't like saying I'm wrong. All right? But I'll say that I'm wrong. On the Vegas matter, I don't think I'm wrong just yet. I know the vote went a certain way, but you know what? This is one of these situations where I feel like the opera isn't over until the fat lady sings. And I have a feeling the fat lady's on a treadmill. Now, let's see here. Matt Merrill asks, will the Coyotes finally relocate in the NHL? And how long is Betterman going to be stubborn and staying in the desert? You know, I don't know, and I'll do more research to give you an intelligent answer to that. Stephen Collins, build through the draft. If we sign ML, it will be to put people in the seats, period. If you're talking about Marshawn Lynch, I agree with you, Steve. Matt Pitt, how would you feel if Joe Mixon joined the Raiders? I know he messed up big time, but we all make mistakes, and how do you think the community of Oakland will accept him? Oakland has the largest per capita concentration of activist women in the West Coast, at least. So I think you would activate women who didn't pay attention to the Raiders or the NFL, and it would be the greatest PR nightmare we've had in a while, overshadowed only by the relocation issue, and at that, barely. That's my answer, because that video is powerful in a way that the United Airlines passenger dragging video is powerful, right? So people are going to be replaying that again and again and again wherever he gets drafted. He can't escape that. You don't hit a woman. Period. And what bothers me about how society has changed, not advanced, is that you can have a video like the one of this Cleveland bus driver who hit this young black girl. And the commenters are basically saying that she deserved it on my YouTube video. And I'm still to this day mortified at the opinions that men give. It's ridiculous. Advocating hitting a woman because she tried to strike the bus driver. And he's like, oh, you want to do that, huh? Okay, no. No way. Not at all. The guy could have called the police. He's a bus driver. If she was being unruly, call the police. Do not take matters in your own hands. And especially don't do that. No. I mean, that's just plain stupid. You know, I mean, while I'm getting things off my chest, there's a video that was shown today that The Airplane Blues, I completely disagree with you. All right, and my point is that Airplane. You say if a woman comes at you, she's getting dropped. Well, why? If a woman comes at you, just, you know what? Dodge. Don't. First of all, here's the thing. Don't create a situation where a woman comes at you. How about that? Some folks out there, some of you guys out there, you think like you have to be tough and all this stuff. Let me tell you something. That's not going to get you anything but a trip to jail. Don't wallow in the mud. I'll repeat that one more time. Don't wallow in the mud. If you have to be with somebody who wallows in the mud, all right, you picked out the wrong woman. Period. Do not wallow in the mud. Now, okay. Phew. No, it might be, but you say you advocate self-defense. You know what? Here's how I think about it. All right, I'll just be very honest. I'm with this woman who, she had a tendency to hit me like that, and I couldn't figure out why. It was really crazy, and I managed to turn that into a great lovemaking session. That's all I'll say. Okay, I managed to turn that around very nicely. And because what I'm saying is use your smarts. Of course, I didn't date her anymore after that because she's nutty. Just to do that, and then she ended up marrying a woman. So there was something going on there with her that I needed to and did escape from. Truth be told. So there. So my point is that, and hey, you don't need to do that. Okay, you just don't. Now, Scott Worden says, nowadays women want to have equal rights and are doing more violence like men. I don't think it's a matter of women wanting to have equal rights. You have to remember something, because your comment implies that, the same women have been alive for like 1,000 years, and all of a sudden, like the same age, like they've been alive for 1,000 years, and yet they're 28, right? And so, because of that, they suddenly, gain this idea of equal rights. No, we're talking about a different generation of women who grew up, in a number of cases, maybe with a one-parent household, or with examples of where others have not been courteous. We live in a society where ladies are not taught to be ladies, and men are not taught to be gentlemen. And then we top all that off by saying, well, we don't like this political correctness. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. All political correctness is not insulting somebody else. Why do you feel the need to insult someone else? But think about the totality of this. It means you're creating a negative environment. And women have grown up in that. And then on top of that, we went from a time like Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, she had no biceps at all. Now, the current Wonder Woman has little bitty biceps, right, on the movies. But we're used to seeing women with muscle. Strong women, right? And they kickbox and they defend themselves and everything else. Fine. But just because a woman can defend herself doesn't mean a man has to challenge her. It really cracks me up, because I'm a fan of women bodybuilding, that there are guys who try to compare their muscles with women. Why? That's nuts. Just enjoy the hotness of the woman. Don't try to compare your body to the woman. Some people are just sort of like, woohoo, woohoo. Love women. I'm saying this to men. Learn to love women as women. Period. The flowers of the earth. That's all I'm saying. Okay, enough of that. All right. McGregor versus Floyd. I don't know. I think I'm going to take Floyd. Right. I'm going to take Floyd. Now, how about, who do you think the next women Ultimate Fighting Champion will be? Because for a long time, I thought it was going to be Holly Holm for a while after she beat the Starlet, and then Misha Tate, and, God, wow. Oh, which weight class? Pick the weight class. You tell me. That's a good question. Pick it. John Davis, you don't watch. Why? I like to watch the women more than the men. That's just me. Okay. I'm just kind of all about women's sports. I am. Now, there's nothing better than a woman who's plays sports to me. Hope Solo, for example, my favorite. In more ways than one. Doggone, she's married. Ugh. Oh, anyway. Started getting nauseated about that. Well, not nauseated. I didn't mean it like that. Hope's a fantastic person. Fantastic. Cyborg, right. But, John will dominate 115. Cyborg is the only 145. That's true. That's true. That's true. But do you think the Starlet should come out of retirement? Or did she really retire? She didn't really retire, did she? You know what I'm talking about when I say the Starlet. What do you think? What do you think? Hope Solo was caught up in a domestic violence case. Well, that case, I side with Hope on that one. And I've been a fan, and we follow each other on Twitter for some time. I've not yet met her in person. I hope to. But that was a case where she wanted her sister, who lived down the street, to give her a ride to the airport because she felt her husband was being a jerk. For reasons I'm still not clear of. And her Hope's sister's son, her nephew, never really got along. He's 17, but he's like 6'9", right? He's a big guy. And Hope had been drinking wine, and he said the wrong thing to her out of disrespect, and she reacted in a way she shouldn't have, and it kind of escalated from there. So both sides were at fault in that case. Now, in the other case, with her husband, that was more a situation of they're being at a party, and I believe what happened was there was someone who came to the party that wasn't invited, and I don't know if it was Hope's ex-boyfriend or what, but that part of the issue has always been kept silent. Maybe it has something to do with the sister or the nephew, whatever. There was an altercation. Her husband tried to break up the altercation and ended up being accused of something he didn't do. And then that got, cleared up. So, yeah, I mean, she's gotten a raw deal. And then, of course, I think she let her mouth and her get the best of her, which led to her hopefully temporary absence from women's professional soccer in the Olympics. But we'll see, Hey, Roman, you're late to the party. How you doing? I was going to quit at 1:30. Let's see here. How you doing? And Octavio said it best. If a woman engages, walk away. Or better yet, if a woman engages, here's something. Invite her to a steak dinner or whatever she wants to do. Just say, look, baby, I'll spend all the money on you I can. Even if it's, $10. I'm just saying, right? Just be nice. Be subservient. You don't have to match her in that way. Fine. Mark Steiner, Zinni, I'm here for the show. Glad you're doing one now. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. Mark, you have missed most of the conversation, I have to tell you. It's now 1:34 a.m., and I'm going to go to bed. I am exhausted. Ronda Rousey is mentally checked out, says Matt. You know what? Gosh. I would love to get Ronda Rousey on this program. I mean, I got Randy Sutton. Hey, how did you all like Randy Sutton last night, those of you who watched it? I'm just curious. What's your feedback on Randy Sutton? Did you like him? Because I want to have him back again. Yeah? Cameron says, hey, what impact will the St. Louis lawsuit have on the Oakland Raiders situation? Cameron, it's going to lead to a team up of the cities, and I would not be surprised to see an injunction filed against the NFL and the Raiders by Oakland or Alameda County or both. Don't be surprised if you see that perhaps soon. Okay? We don't like sore losers, says Airplane. Randy was cool. A lot of things I learned about. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nkechi. It was goose, says Barry Lee. Good night, Mark. Good night, John. Matt says that Rhonda hates the media and wouldn't do any interviews for Noon's fight because the mass media betrayed her for home loss. Interesting. You know, it's worth trying even if she says no, right? But I want to get a woman athlete on here. I want to get more women. I want to talk to, I want to bring, remember Melissa Rubin? Have her on talking Ravens football in the draft. How about that again, right? And I'm going to try to see if I can get my friend Rick Saratella back, you know? All right. Okay, folks, good night. I'm going to wave and say good night. John's kind of did it for me. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night, everybody. And I apologize, Mark, for checking out. But hey, tomorrow. Remember, after tomorrow, we resume on Sunday, unless something special happens and I get a wild hair, and say I'll do a live stream. Good night, everybody. Good night. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax, wax on. Oh, and I will do a Comic-Con live stream one day. I'll do that. I'll do a Comic-Con oriented live stream one of these days. Good night. Which reminds me of something I've got to take care of. Good night, everybody. Good night. I plan to go to the NFL draft. I do, yes. Wax off, wax on. I'm waxing off. Well, I'm signing off. Good night. Good night, everybody. I'll see you guys. Good night. Good night. I'm trying to wait for that count to go down. But yeah, good night, everybody. Good night. WonderCon forever, says John Marks. You're right. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Star Wars convention where? Oh, good night, everybody. Hey, you gave me an idea. Star Wars convention. Good night, everybody. Zinni, live show from the NFL draft? Yes, that's the plan. Good night, everybody. Good night. And Crazy Gambler, it is 1:36 where I'm at, and I'm tired. All right, see you, everybody. Good night. I'm off. See you, Mark. Good night.